There we go. I'm Trisha Ben. I'm the CEO of C-Suite Network, and I have the incredible honor once a month I get to be here with the Women's Coaching and Consulting Council and kick things off. And it is always my honor to be able to be here. There's an incredible conversation to be had every week and then some with Kathleen's leadership, and it's extraordinary, and it's critically important that we show up. Now, today is about swagger too, and I love this topic because it is so complex and so interesting, and it's everything in terms of how we deliver our message, and it changes with time, and I just can't wait, Kathleen. So what I'm going to say is the proper introduction of Kathleen Caldwell, other than feels like lifetime friend. We've known Kathleen and she's been leading in the C-suite for so many years now. It does feel like it's always been that way. And that's what happens when you have great people coming together, leading together, supporting together. And of course, Kathleen is the CEO of Caldwell Consulting Group. She's the founder of the Women's Coaching and Consulting Council of C-Suite Network, and of course, the Women's Success Accelerator. She is dedicated 24 hours a day to seeing women succeed in our roles as we consult, we coach, we lead, we support in all the different communities that we're building in and seeing succeed. So Kathleen, with that, I'm going to hand things over to you with all the swagger I can muster after all my early morning flights today. And there you go.
Trisha Ben, thank you, thank you, thank you. We are so honored and just delighted that you're here because if we had in the dictionary, we looked up swagger, you would be the picture of the swagger that is embodied. And we're here. We're so grateful to you and to be our friend, my friend, our mentor, our sister in life and sister in business. And as CEO of C-Suite Network, we are so grateful to you for leading that great organization that we are all a part of. And we get this great opportunity to make a difference every day. So with that, thank you. Thanks. And thank you for making the extra effort to be here. It's a real honor. Yes. So ladies, let's take ourselves off mute and let's just give a little round of applause and thank you to Trisha Ben. It's an honor,
Woohoo, baby.
ladies, right? Yeah. Woo! Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you,
Great.
Kathleen.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you. Great. Well, ladies, what a topic today. And let me just jump right in. And my intention is that we will have our program be very interactive and that you will leave, I promise, with a new perspective on authentic swagger for yourself. What's needed now in the moment? Because you, your voice, your presence, your power, your profitability, and who you are in the world is needed right now more than ever. So we're going to jump right in and I'm going to share a couple slides, but get the conversation going for us. So here we go. Thank you. And Trisha, thank you for that very kind and very generous introduction. So grateful to you. Thank you. Yes. And I'm Kathleen Caldwell, founder of the C-Suite Network Women's Coaching and Consulting Council. Hey, swagger is something that's really important to me. And I'm curious, just give me a little heads up, a little sparkle fingers, whatever, thumbs up. Is swagger something that's on your mind now? Because it seems to be kind of top of mind in a lot of rooms that I'm in. And so I desire and strive every day to be the embodiment of my own authentic swagger by being an author, a speaker, a coach, consultant, and leader of our council. So, and you can see at the very bottom here, Trisha, I need to get a picture of you and me and our council in my little splash screen here. At the very bottom is a picture of Jeffrey Hazlett and me years ago, and he is certainly the embodiment of swagger and such an advocate for women, women in business, and women, emerging women leaders, his young tribe that he has around us, him and us. And so grateful to have this photo here too. Okay, so now more than ever, I believe swagger, confidence, competence, showing up, being present in the world is absolutely critical. Our presence, our leadership, our point of view, our category of one is absolutely necessary. And the moment now, politically, economically, socially, business, life, everywhere that we show up, we need to show up in a bigger, bolder, but more authentic way. How many of you agree? Put a little yes in the chat for me if you believe this. Yep, or sparkling. Yeah, exactly. And so I'm curious, let's get this started. Curious about what's your definition of swagger. And then I'm going to share with you kind of what the dictionary.com definition is and some other definitions, which are going to make you laugh, I'm sure. But then we're going to get into what derails our swagger, our confidence, our presence, and then how we can restore it. So during our time together, I want to get your voices in here, your point of view. And this is also absolutely critically important because it's not only your swagger that's important, but it's also you embodying the best of you. Now, we're not talking about perfection, but we're talking about you stepping up and stepping forward, meeting the moment, and inspiring people to do the same. It's absolutely critical because this program, this challenge we're going to have for the next 3 days, and I hope you can be here. No worries. We're going to have a great recording for you. If you can't, not a problem. But think about your clients too, who you serve. They're having a swagger confidence crisis as well. And so, women out there that you serve, and the women that are related to the men that you serve, and all of the people that you serve, there's a crisis in confidence now. And so, you get to lead your community, your tribe in this topic. So, the more you shore up yourself, the more you get to lead new communities and shore up your current communities. So, curious, jump in. What's your definition of swagger? Want to get your point of view here. So, I'm going to stop my slides here and jumping. What are you thinking? What's your view of swagger? Jump in. Suspiciously quiet, ladies. Suspiciously quiet.
Uh-oh, we'll have to
We're
fix that.
we're suspiciously quiet here.
We can't be quiet.
Okay, Angela, jump in. Swagger.
To me, it means leaning into who I am. The good parts, the faults, just leaning in and embracing the person that I am, goofiness and all. And and it really means it means speaking my message with competence and confidence. Um, speaking the speaking the truth that really doesn't get said often enough with conviction.
Outstanding, Angela. Wow. How many of you are agreeing? I certainly am. Yes. Conviction, courage, right. Yes. And could I also add for me, sometimes it's also the leaning out type of thing too. Like swagger is that I don't have to, in rooms, I don't have to be the first one to raise my hand, although I have this urge always to. So I don't have to follow the urge. I can lean back a little bit. Anybody, are you feeling me? You get this. Like swagger sometimes is like the silent power in the room. It's just the silent confidence. Yeah. Angela, thank you. Love everything you said. Great. How about someone else? What are you thinking? Swagger. Yeah. Molly, jumping in. You've got this great chat in the chat. Would you want to jump in and share?
Sure. I wrote in the chat, confidence, being the go-to expert or resource, not having to prove myself, like knowing who I am and knowing the value I bring regardless. Stepping into that. So
Fantastic.
that is
Excellent.
that leaning in. And to your point, even like having, it's okay for me to lean out because I already know, even if I'm not speaking or whatever, I don't have to have the spotlight. I know that I'm valuable.
Fantastic. And with your Glow Up book series and leadership program, this is completely topical for you, isn't it? Yeah. Congratulations. Great. And you're reading your audiobook now too, I believe, right?
I just finished it. I sent it to the publisher, so hopefully it is uploaded later this month. Yay!
Congratulations. Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
yes, yes. Very good. Yes, great. Thank you. Thank you. Great. Who else? What's your definition of swagger? Swagger, swagger. People have got different ways of saying it. Yeah. Carol, jump in, please.
Okay, I think it's confidence in your expertise and just comfort in your own skin.
Mm, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, great. And you certainly embody that too, right? Confidence, competence, certainty, right? And isn't that so attractive, ladies, that it's just like, wow, okay, she's got what I want. Oh, I love that in her. I want more of that, right? Yeah, very
And,
good. Congratulations. Super.
and
Susan,
what
you
I'd love
I can
to
see it
add
on your
is
lips, dear.
it's it's having the energy that when you speak, the whole room really hears you. You don't have to scream at them, but you really embrace everything that is you in a way that they feel that they recognize what that is and what makes you unique. And it is about that uniqueness that gives somebody swagger. It's about that thing that makes somebody go, wow, they're so themselves. They're not anybody else. You know, the ones that are imitating others never come off as having swagger. They show up as the imitator.
How glorious what you're saying. Thank you. Agree. Trisha, would you like to add? Cece, like to add? Thank you. Cece, you put some great content in the chat. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Jump
love what,
in.
yeah, I love what everybody said, and I love the what Cece just typed in as well. I think I can't, there's a couple things I can't help thinking about. I love everything that everyone said, and I couldn't agree more. And then what you said, Kathleen, about this, there's the leaning in and owning the space you breathe and hold. And then there's the leaning out. I don't have to go in, like, so you're not following, you're really truly leading and making those calls of what space you want to own. Um, and then also, I just can't help thinking that for women, it's a very different ball game. And early on, you'll remember this, Kathleen. When I first started working with Jeffrey, it was like, Trisha, get some Hazlet swagger, and it's so interesting because, you know, me getting my Hazlet swagger is actually a completely different energy, but I absolutely felt really challenged and empowered to be uniquely who I am, and be very strong in that. There's a galvanizing, I think, that happens in that. And I think that we don't have a lot of role models because women were pulled a peg down. So I'm mindful of that. I'm really thoughtful of that a lot lately. And a lot of younger people coming up through and looking at us, right? To see what does this look like, young men and women. What does the woman with swagger look like? It's fun.
Completely and totally agree. Yes. And we've also noticed that, Trisha, when you fully you got into your swagger, your own version
Mhm.
of it, it's like there was this blossoming and blooming that occurred. How many of you remember there was like a pivotal time a couple of years ago where it was like, oh, that's right. And for all of us too, finding our voice, our point of view, and being able to
Mhm.
fully express who we are. And of course, we're of a certain age
Kathleen,
here. Let's just say, yeah, yeah.
yeah, you know what? Probably what I'm not saying out loud that I'm kind of thinking to, and thank you for that acknowledgement. I think also there's an abundance that comes with swagger that other people can own theirs as well. And that abundance is not the way we women were trained at first, because there could only be one woman at the table. And so I think maybe that's why, there weren't those role models, because there wasn't an abundance mindset. There's only going to be one, and now we can have the swagger to support each other, owning our differences and the power and strength of all of them.
Completely agree. And I think also to also acknowledge that in C-Suite Network and the Women's Coaching and Consulting Council, let's just name it. We are a specialized breed. I'm not saying that we're ultra special. I'm just saying we're a specialized breed that for all of you, I'm going to be preaching and affirming what you already know, who you already are. And so, but I want us to not underestimate that this is not the reality for many of our clients, many of our people in the world. And I just would love to just share quickly that I literally had a conversation on Monday of this week. And I was speaking with a very, 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 and I mean very, very, very successful coach who was also a consultant. She was also a speaker and an author. And I was speaking to her about her being the category of one in what she does. And she literally said on Zoom, she said, "Oh, Kathleen, no, I'm not the category of one. No, 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 no. I'm just a speaker. I'm just an author. I'm just a coach." And I said, "You have a published book. You have a point of view. You've got a platform." "Oh, no, I'm not the category of one. No, 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 I'm not." She said, and then she pointed to, and bless her, bless her, bless her, she pointed to a man that was kind of in her kind of genre. And she said, "Now he's a category of one." And I thought, wow, this is so interesting. And I spent a few minutes kind of wrangling with her on why she was the category of one in her area. But I want to share with you, there was no convincing her otherwise. She was so certain that this was the case. And I thought, oh, Lord, okay, well, okay, more opportunity for us to get out there and preach the truth, that she was. And the truth is that everyone is the category of one, and it requires that swagger, that confidence to be able to own it, right? So even so we're converted, so to speak. We've got the message, but many do not. And so do you recognize this as well, ladies? And again, this is not putting anybody down. This is the reality of what people are dealing with.
No, I commented on somebody's Facebook post where she had been interviewed on TV, and she was talking about burnout, and her program used the word glow. And I've known this woman not closely, but close enough to comment and say, "You were truly glowing through this true whole interview." And she was like, you could tell from her response that nothing anchored her better, because it was something she truly didn't feel she did until someone else recognized it. And I think for many women, it is always someone's third party validation of them that helps them to be able to see it in themselves, because no one has ever encouraged them to own it in themselves by themselves. That self awareness of it, and that owning it without somebody else telling you you've got it, has not been what most women have experienced. And I frequently have to remind myself how lucky I was, because I was never, I chose a career that wasn't typical at the time. Yes, there are a lot of women who are in architecture now, but when I was coming up in it, that wasn't the case. And I never was put down by family or friends about choosing it, even when others would maybe say something. So I had a confidence because it was always encouraged for me to stand in my own power. And and I didn't realize until later how many women never received that from their youth.
Fantastic, Susan. Yes. And how many of you can relate to what Susan's saying? Yeah. Nurture nature, all kinds of things. And the good news is that we get to choose now. We get to choose and we get to unwire. So I'm going to bring in some neuroplasticity, some things, some resources that you can use to kind of unwire some of this wiring that may be innate, that maybe at this point in your life you just want to break free from, right? And be able to empower other generations, other people to have this point of view, right? So let's jump in. And comments, questions before we move on. Important
I was
topic.
just
Yeah,
going to say,
please. Yeah.
just building on what both of you have shared, how we build each other up is so important because, the, and frequently what will happen is people will point out what men need to do differently. And I can't tell you how many times I've been in a room where the woman says something, and I know this, everybody has this experience, but woman says something, nobody acknowledges it. The man says it 5 minutes later, and all the women acknowledge the man. Like, wait a second,
Brilliant idea,
you know,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
wow,
See,
so how we listen to each other is so important, how we elevate each other, how we help to acknowledge. So Susan, I just wanted to really acknowledge what you said, because how we see each other, how we support each other, how we elevate each other in those moments is so important, because we are laying that groundwork. I really truly believe the next generations, there are a lot of them that don't understand why they're like why we're all so weird. And that would be wonderful. I would love for them to go through life wondering why we were so weird, to have
and,
all these conversations and these issues and these things happening. Uh,
and
so
I
I
think
think we have to model it.
perfectionism really plays into it, because as women, it's like, am I dressed right? Do I look pretty? Is my hair right? All these things about, do I show up in a way that somebody's going to see me for what is a standard that is expected? And that perfectionism, both in what we do and how we look, was so pushed upon women in a way that I don't think, boys could be rough and tumble, but girls were supposed to be pretty delicate and ladylike. And those things did not always align with what's required in business and life to get forward with what needs to be resolved in a conversation.
Mhm.
Completely agree. Yes. And so so thinking about it, I'm going to put in a couple slides here to have us thinking about now more kind of an application of swagger. But I also think, I love triplex listening, where I'm thinking for myself. I'm also thinking for my clients, how can I help them and support them, but also thinking about how can I impact my communities, my tribes, the world in this kind of thing? And how can I demonstrate what we're talking about here today in a way that really inspires other people and makes a difference for us and for them? So yeah, very good. Okay, great. So I think it's just important to thinking about what kind of we're coming into our challenge today with what's my already existing perspective and viewpoint on swagger. And as many of you've mentioned, Trisha mentioned, and also Susan, thank you, is there's that old masculine view of swagger, and of course there's a view of swagger now, which you probably have noticed is a lot of the rappers, of any nationality, any gender, any ethnicity. There's a whole version of swagger too, and it's something that that I was brought up with, is that's kind of the definition of swagger. And of course, there's kind of a newer kind of swagger for women. And I haven't really had a whole lot of role models for this. I mean, one of the role models that I think we've seen was certainly powerful women throughout history, certainly Queen Elizabeth. And she was certainly, for me, a very powerful. And if you haven't seen The Crown, you can see the evolution of her swagger, her own version of it. And just wondering, thinking about, are there, maybe put in the chat, are there contemporary women that you think, when you think about swagger, contemporary women that you think, put them in the chat, that come to mind? Because I'm honestly, I've been having a little bit of a challenge thinking about, hey, contemporary swagger that's not like overtly
Yeah.
political or overtly Hollywood or overtly X, Y, and Z. I think there's a swagger vacuum that you get to fill. Okay. And so a quick definition of swagger, and I'm not going to read all of these things, but I got to tell you this definition from dictionary.com: to walk or strut with a defiant or insolent air, to boast or brag noisily, to bring forth drive, force, etc., by blustering. swaggering manner, conduct or walk, ostentatious display of arrogance and conceit. Ladies, I don't like that. I don't know about you. I don't really like that, right? So there's time for a new definition of swagger. And I also think authentic swagger and perhaps even feminine swagger. That's not that's not male or female, but just the bringing forth the wholeness and fullness of who we are. And so I'd love to get your voice in here. I just put together just this long list. And by the way, these are things that my clients have told me throughout the years when I've talked to them about swagger. They've talked to me about all of these kinds of things. And I want to, I'm so excited. I have got a book brewing about this because I think it's so important. And so I've got files and documents and all kinds of things because this is related to being the category of one in our business and our life is having that swagger to be able to own the room. And if you'd like to read off some of these points of view, jump in. I want to get your voices in here. You can see on the right-hand column, I got like a whole list of things that I have been told, what's the definition of authentic swagger? Just jump in. Susan, do you want to jump in or someone else?
I'll do it. So you
thank
own the
you.
room. You show up with confidence and competence, driven. Per, yes, if I could speak today, would also help. Purposeful,
Okay, yeah.
powerful, calm, sassy, with moxie. I've got this, and my little secret.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. And this, one of my clients at a very, very large international banking institution, she also said this to me at the very, very, we were working on a mentorship program with her organization, and we were defining for her and for her team authentic swagger. And so we came up with this little thing called My Little Secret. Like walking into the room, walking to up into any room, a Zoom room, in person, and like knowing that, hey, my little secret is like, hey, I I've prepped before I've got here. I know what the hell I'm doing. I've got this. Like my little secret is, hey, I I'm already prepped for this, and having something that's like really powerful, unique, fun, playful, maybe even, just something that's kind of like my little secret, and I could reveal it to the world kind of thing. And so an example for me is my little secret is I know that I could walk into any room and I could lead everybody in a little Zumba. I could lead anybody in a little salsa. I could lead anybody in a little cha cha cha. I could like be in the room. If the room is funky, I could say, okay, people, let's get our Zumba on and let's do a little merengue and getting people's hips. And the people will be looking at me like, she's freaking crazy. But then I'll get my music going. I'll go. And if people, once they start moving, I can get the room going. So that's part of my little secret. Okay. That like at any point in time, I can like go in and like do my thing, right? And have fun and be expressive and maybe a little silly and then bring it back to, hey, okay, we're all business now. So yeah,
I
thoughts
think
about
that
what could
humor
be.
and yeah, having humor, having that ability to take it in a direction that's unexpected, that shows that you can, as one of Trisha's favorite words, disrupt the moment, create that change of state,
Yes.
create that ability for them to go, wait a minute, what's happening? That creates a swagger that doesn't require a walk. It's the swagger of the mind.
Yes.
And I think in some ways that becomes even more catchy than the physical walk across a stage or something. But I do think the stance can help to own it, those power stances and such, uh, those power moves. And and Twyla Tharp is another one that I think truly has a swagger. She's her ability to be creative and to move and to dance is always been something inspiring to me.
Thank
humor.
you. Thank you.
Sorry,
Jump in, Angela. Yeah, please. Yeah.
humor is, some would say, a strength of mine, and others would say one of my most annoying qualities. My mother and my son in particular. but for me, I've found that I'm particularly good at, really breezing past the awkwardness of a subject. As a blind person, it's amazing. People, oh, thank you. People trip over themselves when it comes to talking about blindness and when it comes to talking about disability. I mean, you say something like, oh, I watched the ball game, and they'll just like start apologizing all over the place. I'm like, no, stop. I watched the ball game too, and I can't believe what I saw. Once you get past that awkwardness and put everybody at ease and say, no, we can talk about this stuff. We can say the quiet part out loud. And if we say something dumb, who cares? I say dumb stuff all the time. It really, it really clears the air, and it really allows for discussions that are actually productive.
Angela, beautiful, beautiful. Yes, thank you. And so being our most authentic self, I think we're also modeling the way for things that are so darn important, because it's all of these things, but it's also what you're pointing out to, Angela, thank you, is it's what's your blend? And so I'd love for you just to take a moment and think about what's your blend, your special recipe for your authentic swagger. Maybe three things that come to mind, and even if you just want to do your top one thing, thinking about when you think about your swagger, what is it about you that you'd like to perhaps express more of? You'd like to have more of your aura about you, your thing about you, which is really the definition of swagger, to have more of that. For me, it's like spontaneous fun, spontaneous fun. And I want more of that in my life. How many of you want a little more spontaneous fun in your life, right? Hey, life gets really heavy sometimes, right? Life is heavy. Hey, life's in session, right? We had a lot of stuff going
Yeah.
on. And to have a lightness combined with, okay, I'm very, being serious and not being like a flake, but just like having a little lightness about us. I think that's very, very attractive, right? Yeah.
And
I was
So
going to say a cup of accessibility mixed with 2 tablespoons of humor with a dash of I just don't give a darn.
there you go. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. That sounds to
I'll
me
have to
like a great
refine that,
LinkedIn
and
description.
that's cool.
Excellent, Angela. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Great. Good. Good. So jump in. Susan, Molly, Carol, Cece, Trisha, what are you thinking about? Like your thing, your one thing, your three things, whatever it
I
is
love that
that,
Summer put in the chat reliability.
thank you.
I think relatability, being real and authentic. And I think that's so wonderful. And, many of you don't know Summer, but she was HR at one of the architectural firms I work with and is HR for a company here in the Dallas area. So I'm thrilled that she's here today. That
Great.
for a lot
Yeah.
of us, I think it is those things that uh, sometimes we hide about ourselves, or we think we're hiding, but we know others see. I sometimes need to, Cece's known me for decades. And so there are times I have to say to somebody like her or any of you, what is it you see in me? Because I think sometimes what makes us have swagger to others is the one thing we don't see in ourselves. And so it's not about them validating us, but sometimes it's about them reminding us of what we take for granted about ourselves. You can know you do things, but you don't necessarily think somebody else is noticing. I remember walking through a showroom on a tour. This would have been in the, hate to say how long ago this would have been, but it was when going to a market event for retail was not something that women did alone. And I was going using the ticket of the company owner because he couldn't go. So I was going with a man's name tagged to my shirt. And I stopped and talked to somebody and I said, well, I'm sure nobody's noticed me. He goes, oh, listen, everybody noticed you. You sometimes do not recognize the impact you can have in a room with your silence, with your just owning the fact that you showed up at all. And any woman who shows up has swagger.
Thank you. That's it. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. Appreciate that. How about anybody else? Any thoughts about what you want to have in your swagger repertoire, right? Yeah. Trisha, jump in. Yeah. Molly, jump
Oh,
in. Yeah.
Molly, you go ahead. I'm happy to go after.
Confidence. Confidence is the
Mm.
thing, and showing up powerfully. Uh, and Susan, what you said resonated with me is that people say, Molly, you're so confident, Molly, you're so whatever. And there are occasions when I'm like, yes, I am. That's right. I own this room, or whatever. And the fun part with that I'm going through right now, especially joining this group of people, is I'm showing up in a new room, and so sometimes I feel lacking, but that's the thing I bring. I'm very confident in what I do, even though sometimes I'm like, I want to go to my next level. So, and I just appreciate, Susan, you sharing your story. Growing up in a man's world, in a man's industry, everything literally just showing up and being in the room. And that is a powerful statement. So thank you for sharing that.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yes. Thank you. And aren't we all leveling ourselves up by the same time that we're leveling up, so to speak, others too? By who we are, our impact, our influence, all of those things. Yeah. And we'll never know the impact that we have with even just something that we say, right? Isn't that powerful? Yeah. Yeah. But having the swagger and the confidence to say it, which is so critical. Yeah. Trisha, did you want to jump in as well?
Yeah, I think a big word that just screams to me with all of this is courage. It's not really
Mm.
confidence. It's just having, screwing up your guts to do what you need to do. And 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 just showing up sometimes takes a lot of courage. A lot of courage. And so I don't know. I think about this. I'm thinking about this a lot right now. I'm and I just was spent 3, 4 days with a 78-year-old man who's incredibly accomplished, outrageously humble. And I said to him, "So, if you were 54, what would you tell your 54-year-old self?" Because I think showing up authentically, um, I feel like at 54, you're at that point in life where take it or leave it. This is who I am. Like, it's not likely to change a lot. I mean, and not because you can't learn new tricks, but there are things you've decided you really want to be able to accomplish. And so there's a certain understanding, and there's a certain you know like feeling for your strengths and your capabilities, and then also the awareness of time. So I don't know. I feel like authenticity for me, and again, going through those stages, we're watching each other go through these stages, right? We're supporting each other through these stages. We're learning with each other. Um, to me, like it is authentic. It is real, and I make a very conscious decision to be real in the position I hold. I'm never not going to be real. I'm not going to pretend like because I sit where I sit and the influence of C-suite is getting bigger and bigger every day, that somehow magically, like, now I have all the answers and everything's perfect in my life. And wouldn't you just love to be like me? So you should pay me ridiculous amounts of money for nonsense and, all the stuff that's out there in this space. Never. But I am very mindful to what do I want to be able to do? So showing up authentically, it's also how do we show up? There's also how do we show up authentically in terms of just who we are, but also in purpose. And I'm really mindful to that right now. I only have so much time, and there's certain things I want to be able to accomplish, and that I want promises that I want to deliver on. And so I feel very mindful to that. And one of the things that one thing that's newer in my lexicon is I don't need to go in, you know. Um, my 20-year-old is learning the hard way on this right now. She had a whole debate. Someone that she goes to school with told her that all Americans were stupid. Um, by the way, she's in Canada right now and getting that message. When she moved to the States, she got that the other way around. So nobody pick sides here, please. 'Cause I'm Canadian and American citizen, and I don't want to hear any of it because I've heard both and had to deal with it with my children. We've raised them to be very proudly both. And but she went in and she debated, obviously, somebody who's completely ignorant and rude. And so we went through what are the lessons you learn in that. And so she was trying to figure out whether she should have been authentic. The girl said, well, I was only joking. Why did you take me so seriously? At the end of quite a long debate, obviously showing incredible ignorance and rudeness. And Jenna was like, oh, mommy, and I ended up saying I was sorry. I probably shouldn't have said I was sorry. And so I walked her through. Well, at the end of the day, you decided, and whether you realized it or not, but you decided to go in and debate her. And you won the debate, clearly, because she debated it very, very well. And so now you need to decide, do you let it go or not? Or do you carry it forward? And then in future, the power, the strength of your voice, how do you want to use it? And then I told her boyfriend if he wanted a wallflower, she's not going to be that person. You better get used to it. um, but it is so interesting, right? What do we choose to go in on and prioritize and stand authentically for? That's where I'm really very, very thoughtful right now.
Trisha, you're clairvoyant here because this is where we're going.
Okay,
In
there we
our
go.
remaining time together, this is so perfect, right? Yes, thank you. Yeah, because this is for how many of you this is on your hearts and minds is, hey,
Mhm.
what's mine to do? What are the battles that are worth, picking and choosing and going for? And focus, right? I shared with many of you that I wrote a column for a column that I write, and the title was WTF, and they said, I'm sorry, Kathleen, we can't publish that. And I said, it's not what you think. It's called What's the Focus? So what is the focus? Not it's what's the focus? Yeah. So, yeah, thank you, because I think the name of the game, of course, is being our authentic best self with our own version of our swagger. And so leaving today
Mhm.
thinking about, all right, what is my version of my authentic swagger? And of course, thank you, Trisha, for teeing this up, is thinking about where do I want more swagger in the next year? In the remaining of this year, because, we in our council, we always like get on the court. We get in the court on things. We're not talking about hypotheticals, but thinking about, hey, more swagger around your power, your personal point of view, becoming the category of one, your income impact, your boldness, taking risks. This is something that I hear consistently from women is they want to be able to not only dream bigger, but take bigger actions. And we're going to spend some time tomorrow in our challenge day 2 is focusing in on your future self. Who do you need to become right now to step into that future version of you that literally is not just an incremental increase in who you are and your outcome and all of this, not like like I'm striving, but more an authentic. We're going to blend who you are tomorrow and who you are today into that thing, that place you want to be. And what we're going to do is we're going to compress time on tomorrow's broadcast. We're going to compress time and move you into this other place, okay, where you want to be. And it's going to be a very powerful session because boldness, taking risks, maybe some more swagger on your relationships. Hey, saying some things that need to be said, right? With your clients, with your personal relationships, whomever, like having the vitality around your health is as well, having more swagger. I've signed up for that, and it's made all the difference with some new weight training that I'm doing. And Carol, I know this is hot topic for you. Yeah. And our general aliveness, right? How many people do you know are living, but they're not truly alive, right? They don't have the vitality that they want. They've given up. Okay. And we get to be the catalyst to do what we need to do for ourselves to lead our communities into a new level of all of these things. Okay. So thinking about for yourself, pick one area. And again, you just put it in the chat if you'd like to. And hey, this is just a starting list is where would you like more swagger in the next year? Okay. And where, hey, we get this great privilege to be able to declare what we want and coming from a place of, hey, everything is cool where I'm at, right? I mean, we're living extraordinary lives. And where do we want to go? Okay. Because if you, what I know for sure is if we don't declare it and start living into it, guess what? Life gets in the way. Okay. Then the next thing that we could be planning is that hip replacement or that health tragedy or that life. It's like, hey, life will lean in for us when we declare and say, hey, this is where I'm going, like a commander's intent, right? With a lot of swagger. And then thinking about is what are the things that derail us and diminish our swagger? I hear this all the time, and I've experienced this myself, is hey, worrying, overthinking, perfectionism, lack of confidence or certainty, comparison. Oh my goodness, comparison. Regret, living in the past. All of these things get in the way of swagger. And I know for me, overthinking is my go-to place. Anybody relate to this overthinking? And then it starts as a kind of a downward spiral, as in the past, is overthinking, over planning, and then it creates kind of an inertia of parasympathetic, like paralysis, like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do as a next step. So guess what? I won't do anything, right? Yeah. So sympathetic versus parasympathetic, what is our body doing, right? Perfectionist. I mean, are you so thinking about what are your triggers for getting in the way of swagger? Is it overthinking or is it perfectionism? Is it any of these things, all of these things are others, right? Can you relate to any of these things at all? If you want to put them in the chat, I can't be the only one, right? Yeah. Yeah. And guess what? All of these situations or symptoms can be overcome. Okay. And we're going to talk more about that tomorrow. And then Saturday, we're going to have again, 75 minutes of our program. We're cutting it all down. Okay. So thinking about what we want for the next year, where we want more swagger, and also understanding what kind of gets in the way for us. All right. And then talking about how do we quiet that down? How do we overcome it? How do we develop strategies to be able to know what's happening for us and then be able to calm ourselves down? And I know I've shared this fabulous book with you, this resource in the past. I so appreciate Dr. Daniel Amen. If you have not read this book or heard it on, I think he's got a great YouTube channel for sure on audio, whatever, highly recommend Unleash the Power of the Female Brain. Really powerful book because it goes into what happens for us as women. Our biology also determines our amount of swagger or our lack of swagger, believe it or not. These emotional challenges that happen, these emotional changes that happen with us, a lot of this, ladies, I want to mention is it is our biology and our chemistry. Okay. So many of you and people that may have experienced these kinds of things is, hey, all of these, I'm not going to read them on the screen, but, if we're not feeling well, we can't show up with full swagger, right? If you agree with that, you agree. If we're not feeling well, and the chemistry, the biology, all of it, premenopausal, perimenopausal, postmenopausal, all those kinds of things. I mean, they're real, ladies, right? So we've got to look at also for ourselves, optimizing our health, okay? Optimizing our health. And I am such a rigorous advocate of this because if we don't see ourselves as we truly are, even that sometimes, we're looking, we think we've got this view of ourselves and it's not really lined up with reality. We want to, and we'll focus on this tomorrow and Saturday, is we want to blend the two. We want to have the vision of who you really want to be, that powerful vision, embodying it and having everything align. Because what I know for sure is when everything is aligned, you get in the flow and opportunities start happening. Okay. You become truly the category of one. But if things are out of alignment, then we get the poser problem, we get the imposter syndrome, all of those kinds of things. Do you relate to what I'm saying here? And we're going to wrap up here in the next few minutes. Yeah, exactly. And this is also for our clients too, and that's that they're experiencing, hey, they see themselves as one way in the boardroom. However, how they're showing up is not aligned to that. Okay. And so that has people feel and sense and see it's incongruent, right? And so therefore they're discounted, their voice is not heard, there's a confidence crisis, all kinds of things can happen. So let's get it all in alignment. And what also people experience, and maybe you've experienced this too, is all of this can feel very overwhelming, right? What do I do? I've got too many options. I don't know what to do. I feel scattered. And what we know is when we're overwhelmed, sometimes things go downhill. All right. The opportunity for this little girl with the Oreo cookies just speaks to me. Okay. I don't know about you, but hey, if I'm feeling overwhelmed or I'm feeling like not powerful, then things kind of go downhill a little bit, right? My sugar's calling me, right? I'd love to say that if I'm feeling overwhelmed, that the vegetable basket on the right-hand column of your screen speaks to me, but it does not. Okay. I'm a little sugar girl. All right. And for others, how people cope when they're not feeling their best, they're not exhibiting their swagger. They can utilize a little bit more alcohol, a little wine, a little extra, whatever it is. And again, these are not judgments, it's just facts. Or people then want to soothe themselves with internet browsing, or maybe it's nicotine, or maybe for some, it's like online gambling or shopping or stuff like this. Your clients are dealing with this, okay? These are all symptoms of people not feeling in alignment, authentic, and feeling their most best, healthiest, powerful self, okay? AKA the swagger's gone. All right. So as we complete our time, I think part of the answer is we want to retrain our brain. We want to retrain our bodies. All right. And you get to be able to do this. Is fantastic is when you're calm and you're confident, you just show up better, right? You can be more consistent and you can count on yourself, right? And I have been practicing something new that I want to share with you because this has made such a difference is feeling more relaxed in my body. And who's familiar with sup breathing? Sup breathing. Okay, great. This is considered and called like supplemental breathing. And so I'll just demonstrate it for you and then we'll do it very quickly. This is a game changer. Okay. So feel free to use this technique when perhaps you're just not feeling aligned. Maybe you're a little tired. Maybe your body is saying, ooh, something's not quite right here. Okay. Maybe a little nervous energy. You're not feeling calm and confident the way you want to. So, what you can do is you take a nice deep breath in, and then you take another supplemental breath, and then you let it out. So how it goes is filling up your lungs, and then I take another deep breath on top of it, holding it, and go. So taking a nice deep breath, if you want to try this with me, take a nice deep breath in, and then another deep breath on top of it, holding it. So let's try this a couple times. Notice how calm the room got. You're giving your body more supplemental additional oxygen. And what the second breath does is it signals to your nervous system, I'm okay. I'm getting more oxygen. I'm breathing even more calmly and relaxed. Okay. You're signaling. And for how many of you did you notice you felt a little more relaxed after you did that? Take some practice. Yeah, 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 yeah. Really good. So as we complete, let's relax in the next 24 hours until we meet again tomorrow, thinking about where you'd like more swagger. Number one, what gets in the way of you having that? And we're going to come back tomorrow. We're going to talk about more strategies about how to embody swagger in your life. And so, with that, thank you. Relax and enjoy, because you know what? I firmly believe that each of you matter. We matter in the world, right? We matter in the world. Small moves can create massive momentum. And you don't need a complete reset. Like, we don't need to go out and get a facelift. We don't need to go off and run off to Costa Rica and blah, 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 blah. We need to do anything crazy. Maybe we want to change our hair color and our lipstick, something fun like that. That's cool. All right. But we don't need a whole new reset. We just need to make some decisions one at a time. Okay. So with that, take some action. Highly encourage you to take some action between today and tomorrow. And maybe just a brief sentence, What's your biggest takeaway from our time together? What's your biggest takeaway?
I will jump in
Or
and
what will
just
you
say,
implement?
I was going to say, I'm still in this, I'm going to be in this mode that I'm in because this is just perfect for what I'm thinking through right now. And it's going to take me a little bit of time. But I will say, I am so excited to see the swagger that each of you wants to see. And I get to showcase that in lots of different ways. So I cannot wait. You just let me know because I'm all
Or
in. So we can
hot.
we can celebrate swagger in a lot of ways. Oh, speaking of which, tomorrow, wait, tomorrow is Jeffrey's birthday celebration. So big surprise. But anyway, yes. So
Thank
swagger it up. I
you.
can't
Boy, the
wait. And
embodiment of swagger. Yeah. Yes. And specifically a man who loves then when women exhibit their swagger. When we exhibit our swagger, it lifts up all boats. And C-Suite Network is going to amplify us, and it's all cool. Great. Thank goodness. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Good. Who else? Yeah. Your biggest takeaway as we complete. Biggest takeaway. Yeah. This was fun, wasn't it? I really enjoyed this. That's my biggest takeaway is get busy, girl, and have more fun. Jump in. What are you thinking? Your biggest
Just
takeaway?
keep moving forward. Go for it.
That's right. Right on. That's right on. Bring your
And
smile
I
with
gotta
you.
run.
Yeah. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Good,
Love
good,
and
good.
light.
Thank you.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you. Love you. Yeah. Good. That's right. Thank you. Thank you. We can do this. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
What do
Molly,
I
do you want to
stand?
jump in and say something? Yeah.
Yes, I was gonna say, what acknowledging what I stand on and lean into that, and then what am I choosing to align with and moving forward.
Great. Awesome. And
Thank
we'll
you.
talk
This
more
was
about that
wonderful,
tomorrow,
Kathleen.
future self. Thank you, Molly. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good. Carol, would you like to declare your biggest takeaway? Angela, too. Yep. Anyone else?
So I think my biggest takeaway is that there's power in being ourselves, and that we should be able to notice what brings us down and take care of that so that our swagger can be restored.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Great. 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 Great.
Well,
Thank you. Angela, you want to take us home as we
sure.
complete? Biggest
On that
takeaway.
subject, and one of the things that stood out to me, several things, but one of the things was, if you're not feeling optimal, your vices start talking to you. You know, the sugar bowl, the beer cooler, whatever the thing is. And it's sort of, you can sort of look at it as a red flag, right? When you start doing, a little too much of that thing. Maybe
on.
there's something, there's something beneath the surface here,
Beautiful. Gosh, words of wisdom, Angela. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Great. 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 Anyone else before we complete? Okay, so tomorrow we're going to focus on your future self, bringing her, that highest version of her, to you today. Okay, so tomorrow we're going to do it. Bye for now. What a fun session. Lots of love to
Thank
each of
you.
you. Can't wait to see you very soon. Let's go out. Let's be our swagger self. Okay, bye bye. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you.